Oh, dang, that's good. Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Heather and as always I'm reading with a vengeance and I hope you are as well. If you're an OG, thank you so much for coming back. If you're new to my channel, a very warm welcome to you and I hope everybody is doing very well. If you like what's going on here, please consider giving that like button a boop and a subscribe would be wonderful. How is everybody doing? As you can see, I'm still in my short-term rental and I don't want to jinx anything, but it might, no promises here, be the last recording that I make in this house. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't really have anything else to report because, full disclosure, I'm recording this video about 5 minutes after I recorded the last video. Just a little behind the scenes look. Anyways, what are we talking about today? We are going to talk about what I am absolutely, positively, definitely going to read in March. If you've watched my previous videos, you kind of know the gist of it. I read about 8 to 12 books a month, but most of those are seat of my pants, spontaneous selections, mood selections, things like that. But in order to give love to books that have been on my TBR for a really, really long time or have been sitting on my physical shelf for a really long time, I came up with a system to pick 5 books that I already have on lists somewhere to read for the month so that they don't get neglected. In a nutshell, I have created kind of an Excel spreadsheet of all the books that I have on my physical shelf. I have a list of books that were submitted by all of you or recommended at one point in comments in previous videos, and various other categories, if you will, of books that I have on my TBR. And what I do every month is the first 2 books that I pick are definitely from my physical TBR. I am trying to read that down before I add new books to it. So the first 2 selections, I roll the dice and I see what number comes up and what the corresponding book on my Excel spreadsheet is, and I read that book. And then the other 3 selections, I roll the dice or use a random generator, or that's what I use. Actually, I use the random number generator to select the physical books, and then I roll dice to select the final 3 categories that I choose my books from. So that's kind of the gist. If you want a more detailed explanation on this weird system that I created to pick books for me, it's on a playlist on my channel. And before I start with this TBR, let's talk about how successful I was with February's TBR. So February's TBR, I picked Secondhand Souls and Sharks in the Time of Savior from my physical TBR. And I did read both of those at the time of this recording. I got Before He Kills, which is on my electronic library, and that's by Blake Pierce. And at the time of this recording, I haven't read it yet. Then I also got The Things We Cannot Say, which was a subscriber recommendation, and I have read that at the time of this recording, so that's good. I also picked Picture Perfect, and I believe Picture Perfect, that's by Jodi Picoult, and that was picked because one of my categories is favorite authors, and Jodi Picoult is one of my favorite authors. And so I think I decided to do 2 birds with 1 stone and pick one of the Jodi Picoults that's on my physical library. But at the time of this recording, I haven't read that one yet. 1, 2, 3 out of 5, that's not bad. I would call that a success. But before I get to my weird little system, I do want to mention there are a couple of other books, 3 to be exact, that I definitely will be reading in March because I am participating as a judge for the Booktube prize this year. And I was selected for the first round, the octo finals. And so I was assigned 6 books to read for the first round. And I made a video, which I will link down below, of the 6 books that I was assigned to. By the time this video posts, I will have read 3 of them because I think I was notified early February, and then I have until the end of March to read those 6 books and rank them. And I, of course, split it up that I'll read 3 of them in February and 3 of them in March. But for the purposes of this video, I will tell you the books that I am going to be reading in March for the Booktube prize. So in March, I'm definitely going to be reading The Rabbit Hutch by Tess Gunty, which is literary fiction, has a coming of age theme to it. I'm actually pretty excited about this one. I'll also be reading Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng. Very excited to read this one. This one was already on my TBR before I was assigned this book for the Booktube prize. This is also literary fiction with hints of sci-fi and dystopia. I didn't read Little Fires Everywhere, but I watched the miniseries and I enjoyed it. I did, however, read Everything I Never Told You and absolutely loved it. So super excited about this one. And then finally, I'll be reading Liberation Day by George Saunders. Liberation Day is a collection of short stories, so I'm a little apprehensive about it because I don't usually have a good track record with short stories, but I haven't read George Saunders. I have his Lincoln in the Bardo on my TBR. I haven't gotten to it yet, so it is an author that I am interested in. So those are the three that I'm also definitely going to be reading in the month of March. So let's pick the 5 books that I will be reading from my various lists, starting with my physical library. So I'm going to pull up the random number generator here, and I'm going to start it with the number 2 because the way I started the spreadsheet is I started it on number 2 and I just didn't really want to fix it. And then I have a total of 47 books on my physical TBR. The last time I did this TBR, I had a total of 48 books. And you're like, well, haven't you read 2 books? Yes, I've read 2 books since then, so I should be on 46 books now, but I might have added to it. I think if you watched my Booktube birthday vlog, I went to the little free library, so I accumulated another book. We have 47 in my physical TBR now, so here we go. Let's do our generator, and we get the number 26. So we're going to go to my little list over here and see what number 26 is. Vanishing Acts. So I think that is a Jodi Picoult book. Let me go grab it. Okay, so I was right. Vanishing Acts is a Jodi Picoult book. Put it over here. I don't know a whole lot about this one. This is one of her earlier works. Oh, not too early. I guess this one came out right after Sister's Keeper, and those were big shoes to fill. What's this one about? Let's see. Where are my eyeballs? Shoot. God. How do you recover the past when it was never yours to lose? Delia Hopkins has led a charmed life. Raised in rural New Hampshire by her beloved widowed father, she now has a young daughter, a handsome fiancé, and her own search and rescue bloodhound, which she uses to find missing persons. If the dog is the main character, I'm already loving this book. But as Delia plans her wedding, she is plagued by flashbacks of a life she can't recall until a policeman knocks on her door, revealing a secret about herself that changes the world as she knows it and threatens to jeopardize her future. Jodi Picoult explores how life as we know it might not turn out the way we imagined, how the people we've loved and trusted can suddenly change before our very eyes, how the memory we thought had vanished could return as a threat. Sounds interesting, which is probably why I picked it up. Looks like I picked it up at a secondhand store. So Vanishing Acts. First on my TBR for March. All right, let's get back to the random number generator for our second book from my physical TBR. Okay, here we go. Generate. Oh, don't have far to go. Number 24. 2 books up, and it is The Bell Jar, and I'm pretty sure that's Sylvia Plath. All right, The Bell Jar. Let me grab that one. Here we go. The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I feel I'm a little apprehensive about this. Just because, I don't know, but I also feel it's just one of those books that I need to read, as a reader. I think most people know what this is about. This is very famous. The front says, a heartbreaking story of a talented young woman who descends into madness. And I think this is semi-autobiographical, if not totally autobiographical. It's a novel. Oh, it's a novel. It says it's a novel about the events of Sylvia Plath's 20th year, about how she tried to die and how they stuck her together with glue. It is a fine novel, as bitter and remorseless as her last poems, the kind of book Salinger's Franny might have written about herself 10 years later if she had spent those 10 years in hell. Oh, well, it's going to be a cheerful read, I see. It's just over 200 pages, so no excuses. That's one of those books that, I've been meaning to read. This has been on my physical library for literally a decade. So I've been avoiding it. This is why I do this game. Wish me luck. All right, so here's where the dice come into play. I'm about to roll some dice to select which category that I will select from. This is a work in progress. I had to move some stuff around because I realized I have, I think, 11 categories. So of course I have to roll 2 dice. But if I roll 2 dice, I will never get the number 1. Category number 1 is recommendations by all of you. So if I roll 2 dice, I'll never get that category. So I realized that last time. So I moved some stuff around. So the first category is actually number 2. And anyways, let's roll the dice to see what category is next. All right, here we go. You get a 5. And category number 5 is, oh God, longest on my TBR. Okay, if you remember what happened the last time I got longest on my TBR, to be fair, I'm not afraid of long books, but not only did I get the longest on my TBR, but the longest on my TBR was a classic, and it ended up being The Count of Monte Cristo. I rode the struggle bus on that one. Let's take a look to see what the longest on my TBR is now. All right, let's pull up my want to read list. And then we will add, oh, I don't see page number on there, so I'm gonna edit that and add page numbers. Come on, Heather, get it together. There you are. Number of pages. And then we will list them most. Oh, that's not right. Let's do it the other way. There we go. Oh, Swan Song. Okay. Okay. That's actually exciting. I really want to read Swan Song. Let me pick that up. All right, here we go. Yes, longest on my TBR. Are the words big at least? No, they're super tiny. And what do we got for longest? Okay, well, it's less than 1,000 pages, which is 500 less than Count of Monte Cristo, so that's good news. We have just over 900 pages. Oh my God. But I am super excited to read this one because Robert McGammon wrote one of my favorite books of all time, and that's Boy's Life. I've raved and raved and raved and banged on and on and on about that book. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it. This one, I think, is steered in an entirely different direction. This is, I think, post-apocalyptic dystopia sci-fi horror, I think. But it sounds really, really good. And I think it's one of his most popular books, so that's good too. It says, facing down an unprecedented malevolent enemy, the U.S. government responds with a nuclear attack. Soon, America, as it was, is gone forever, and now every citizen, from the President of the United States to the homeless on the streets of New York City, will fight to stay alive. I also heard this is a lot like The Stand by Stephen King, which I also really, really enjoyed. In a wasteland born of rage and fear, populated by monstrous creatures and marauding armies, Earth's last survivors are drawn into the final battle between good and evil, which will decide the fate of humanity. Sister, who discovers a strange and transformative glass artifact in the destroyed Manhattan streets, Joshua, the pro wrestler who takes refuge from the nuclear fallout at a Nebraska gas station, and Swan, a young girl possessing special powers who travels alongside Josh to a Midwest town where healing and recovery can begin with her extraordinary gifts. But the ancient force behind the world's devastation is scouring the walking wounded for recruits to build its relentless army, beginning with Swan herself. So a child being the main character and having the key to fixing everything, I absolutely love that idea. So I'm super excited about this. It's going to be a challenge since I have the 3 Booktube prize books as kind of extra reads for my TBR. But nevertheless, I'm going to give it a go, and I'm really, really excited about it. So yay, totally different experience than the last time I picked longest on my TBR. So that's good news. All right, let's roll for the next category. Here we go, here we go. 8. Category 8 is, oh geez, the worst rated on my Goodreads TBR. Oh my gosh, so let's look. Oh geez, oh geez. Worst rated. Oh, that's highest. Worst rated. The 3 of Us. The 3 of Us. I'm struggling to remember. I think I might have actually gotten that from NetGalley. So it actually might be a good one to read because I requested it from NetGalley and I never read it. I'm terrible at that. It sounded intriguing to me, so I went for it. Anyways, The 3 of Us is by, and I'm going to probably butcher this last name. I apologize. That's Ore Agbaje Williams. Oh gosh, it's rated 3.17. It looks like Williams is a British Nigerian writer from London, And it looks like this is literary contemporary fiction. I like this cover. Long-standing tensions between a husband, his wife, and her best friend finally come to a breaking point in this sharp domestic comedy of manners told brilliantly over the course of one day. How long is this? Oh, it's only 192 pages, so I should be able to get through that. What if the two most important people in your life hated each other with a passion? The wife has it all: big house, nice neighborhood, a ride-or-die snarky friend with whom to laugh about facile men, and an affectionate husband who loves her above all else. The only thing missing from this portrait is a baby. But motherhood is a serious undertaking, especially for the wife who has valued her selfhood above all else. I hear you, sister, I hear you. On a seemingly normal day, the best friend comes over to spend a lazy afternoon with the wife. But when the husband comes home and a series of confessions are made that threaten to throw everything off balance, the wife's two confidants are suddenly forced to jockey for their positions. Told in three taut, mesmerizing parts, the wife, the husband, the best friend, the day quickly unfolds to show how the trio's dented visions of each other finally unravel, throwing everyone's integrity into question, and their long drawn-out territorial dance, carefully constructed over pivotal years, into utter chaos. That sounds amazing! Oh my God, that's so exciting! And that's the lowest rated. Oh my God. I'm excited about that. This is turning out to be a good TBR. But we still have one category left and anything can happen. Let's see what that last category is. All right, here we go. Another roll, another roll. Be good to me. Oh, 5. No, no, no. Got that before. All right, so 7. 7, not far to go. Best rated on my TBR. Okay. So best rated on my TBR. Heartstopper, Volume 3. Now, wait a minute. I'm getting a deja vu here. Did this not happen on a previous TBR where I got best rated as the category and it ended up being Heartstopper Volume 3? And I think, if memory serves, I said, well, that's great. I want to read it, and I will. But because it's just a graphic novel, I should read the next one on the list, which is what I did. But I never read the Heartstopper one, so okay. I'm going to try to do it this time. I will read Heartstopper Volume 3, but let's see what the next one is on the list. All right, A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. I feel like I saw this one on another Booktube channel, and I think it's a YA book, but let's take a look. Oh, this cover, I do remember this cover, so beautiful. And it is rated 4.55. Oh, it's middle grade. It's contemporary. It deals with autistic spectrum disorder. It's only 193 pages. So those two books, less than 200 pages, plus the Bell Jar, which is just over 200 pages, that should help with reading this beast. Let's see what A Kind of Spark has to offer. A neurodivergent girl campaigns for a memorial when she learns that her small Scottish town used to burn witches simply because they were different. Ever since Ms. Murphy told us about the witch trials that happened centuries ago right here in Juniper, I can't stop thinking about them. Those people weren't magic. They were like me, different like me. I'm autistic. I see things that others do not. I hear sounds that they can ignore. And sometimes I feel things all at once. I think about the witches with no one to speak for them. Not everyone in our small town understands. But if I keep trying, maybe someone will. I won't let the witches be forgotten because there is more to their story, just like there is more to mine. Sounds good. Oh, now I know why my eyeballs hurt, because I didn't put my glasses on. Oh, God. So fun. We've got middle grade book here. We're dealing with a neurodivergent first person main character and takes place in Scotland. So lots of good stuff. I'm excited about it. Okay, so those are the books that I have set up for myself for March. I'm excited about them. Have you read any of these books? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to comment or just say hi down in the doodly-doo. What books do you have planned for yourself for March? I would love to hear about them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.